Hey guys, welcome back to another video of Bloom Outdoors. So first thing I'll say, I guess, is excuse the wind noise. It's pretty windy out here. It's also cold, so just roll with me. Yeah, wind kind of sucks. But anyways, after having this lift for quite a few months now, I've been getting a lot of questions actually over how good is the lift. You know, how's the quality? How's the ride on it? Just everything about it. How is it? So if you guys don't know, take a look at the truck here. It does have, show you guys, a 6-inch rough country lift. See that rough country right there? And I can show you we're running 35 12.5s. So yeah, here is what the truck looks like. We've got a 6-inch rough country lift with the lifted struts and the V2 shocks, with some 20x12 negative 44 offset hostile sprockets on 35 12.5 Nitto ridge grapplers. It's just a quick little overview of what we're running here. See, our offset is not, I don't know, it's a decent amount, not a whole lot, but you can see what it looks like there. Anyways, I've got a lot of questions though about how is this lift, how's it ride compared to stock, just how's it ride in general, how's the quality on it, everything about it. So first thing I'll say is this thing is awesome. You guys might think like, oh, it's got such a big lift on it, you know, this thing's gonna ride terrible. Well, you know what, you're wrong. People say that rough country lifts are not that great because of the price point of them. Don't get me wrong, they are one of the cheaper lift companies that make lifts, I guess you could say. They are one of the cheaper ones. I believe the starting price for this lift is $999, if I am correct about that. When you get that kit, all you get is pretty much you keep your factory strut and you just add in a 6-inch block on top, but then you also get all of like the drop components and everything like that, and then you get just the basic N2 shocks in the rear. And as you can see here, maybe, not sure, right there it says V2, so we are running the more high quality shocks. From what I've heard about the shocks, at least though, is the N2s and the V2s are very similar in ride quality. The only thing about it would be the V2s last longer. So that was kind of my aspect or point behind getting them, is they're gonna last longer. And quality was the same, so might as well spend the extra, I think it was like 50 or 100 bucks or something, just to upgrade from the N2s to the V2s, just to get more life out of them, because you know, shocks are expensive, so just as well get the higher quality ones right away when you're gonna get it. So like I did mention, I believe the starting price was $999, and that just involves that puck in there. I kind of know of a couple people that have that lift, so I asked them about it, like, hey, how is it, how do you like it, how is it compared to stock? They answered me and they pretty much told me, yeah, you know, it rides fine. It is a 6-inch lift on the truck. It rides okay, but it could definitely be better. Compared to stock, it probably rides a little bit rougher. And I was like, I don't know if I really want to go with that. I kind of, you know, the stock ride for it was pretty nice. I kind of wanted to stick with that, or as close to what I could get, or maybe even something that rides nicer. So I really didn't want to go with that option. It was the cheapest option, so that's kind of why I was leaning towards it, but I also didn't want this thing to have terrible ride quality. So I looked at the options they had and I was like, okay, well, what can I bump this up to? So they had just the regular option with just that spacer puck in there. They also have the lifted strut, which is the option I have, and they also have the Vertex coilover kit. So the Vertex coilover kit would be the most expensive. I believe it's $2,700. You get the strut and the shock for both sides. You get all the components, the whole kit, everything, and it's just your standard like coilover setup. You can adjust it. It's either 1 through 8 or 1 through 10. I'm not 100% sure on that. I want to say it's 1 through 8 and not 1 through 10, but don't quote me on that. It's something like that. so you can adjust it however you want your ride quality to be. You can do that with the struts and the shocks. So I really wanted to get that. The only downside to that was the price. Like I said, it was $2,700. I really didn't want to spend that much on the lift. I'm sure it would have been worth it. From what I hear, it rides fantastic. It rides like as if you're just driving in a Raptor. It just rides super great. But like I said, price point, that just seemed too expensive for me to get that, spend that much really on a lift, I guess, when I didn't even quite know the quality or anything like that. I've heard it was good, but I wasn't quite sure what I'd be getting into. I didn't want to spend quite that much and then somehow potentially get screwed over or have something break right away, because from what I heard is Rough Country was just a cheaper lift out on the market. They weren't the best quality, so I really didn't want to go with something like that and then end up getting screwed over somehow. So I didn't want to spend that much, but I also didn't want to go with the worst quality one they have. It is the cheapest, but not the worst quality, because I kind of wanted to see what they had to offer. So I kind of went with that in between, which is the lifted strut, which, as you can see here, what it looks like. Pretty much you just get a whole new strut. So it's not like the coilover, because there's no remote reservoir that comes up and up around like that, and you don't have the little knob to change all the stuff. You pretty much just get a whole new strut that gets put in there. So I think that was like a $300 upgrade from the original kit, and then you upgrade to the V2 shocks, and I think that was like a $100 upgrade. I'm not 100% sure, don't quote me on it, but I want to say this lift setup I have right here was $1,600 from Rough Country, and that was for like the lift, the struts, shocks, all that. I also have kicker braces underneath. However, those were an additional $50, and I also got custom made traction bars. Those were another $550, I believe. So I believe just the lift alone, though, if you're just gonna go with that without traction bars or kicker braces, was $1,600, not including installation. But so the questions I've been getting is with this specific lift, now that I've showed you guys what I have, what the options are, this is kind of your middle of the road. It's not your super nice coilover setup, but it's not the cheapest, like low quality lift, I guess you could say, that they make. Because like I was saying, the lowest quality is you're gonna get that spacer puck in there, and it's just gonna ride a little bit rougher than stock. I had no idea how this one was going to ride, and then I heard the next one up, which is that Vertex coilover setup, rides super nice. So I kind of figured with this one I'd get an in-between, middle of the line kind of a ride. So in my opinion, I was like, okay, this should end up riding pretty close to stock. You're not worse than stock with the lowest setup, you're not better than the stock setup with the higher setup that Rough Country makes, but you're kind of that middle of the road, right in between, which I kind of figured was going to be pretty close to stock ride quality. So that is what I went with. So I can leave a link for this whole setup down in the description down below, but now that I told you guys what I actually have, I'll go ahead and tell you what my first impressions were. I should have done a video right away when I got the lift installed of my first impressions, but I didn't. But I still remember because they were just so great. So if you guys remember, or have followed the channel for a while, you would know I put the wheels and tires on myself, took the truck to the shop, had somebody put the lift on for me, brought it back here with the stock tires on it, had to wait a month or so, ended up getting the wheels and tires finally to come in, got them thrown on. So my first impressions with just the lift on the truck was absolutely fantastic. I'll tell you guys, it looked super silly, just really dumb, this truck with just stock tires on it, because it looked hilarious. Like the stock tires, like these don't look absolutely massive with this, but it's because it's proportional, the 35s with the 6-inch lift. Proportion wise, it works out fine, but when you have like that 32-inch tire, it doesn't sound like a big difference, but it really is, because that tire goes to about right here. So imagine that tire being right at the top of that lettering right there. So you guys can just imagine that tire is just like right there. It's hard to show with my finger, I guess, picture right here though, but it just looked hilarious what it looked like. But I can just tell you guys, the setup of this lift on the stock tires rode absolutely fantastic. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. It rode so much better than the stock did, than the stock suspension setup. So I don't know if you guys that are watching this video have ever drove or ridden in a Raptor. Just the quality of what that is like, that's what it was like when you were in this truck. It was so fantastic. But one thing to note here is if you caught on the way I was talking, I was saying it was so fantastic. And so the thing about that was you had the stock wheels, you know, so the very outside of your tire was like right here, stuck inside the fender even. The furthest outside of your tire was right there. So like right here. Also your tire was only like this wide. Like the stock tires are like 9 wides. This is a 12.5. So another like 3.5 inches, or I don't know quite what the specs on the stock tires are, but I believe it's like a 32 by 9 for the tire. So we got a lot wider and taller, and the tire was just smaller. The smallness I don't think really mattered that much, just the width of the tire and how far out it stuck, because our tire went from like right here to right here, so it didn't stick out much at all, and it was just pushed way in there, and the width was not there. So with that being said, it rode absolutely fantastic. And I say that because I was driving down like just the roads in town and everything, and I live in Lincoln, Nebraska. If you guys are from there or know anything about it, roads here are terrible. The road looks like this. So you've got the edge, it dips down, goes up, dips down, goes up. And so that mark down, and that mark down is where everybody's tires go. The roads are just sank in. Now, I don't know if the roads are like that where you guys are or not, but anyways, that's what the roads are like here. And so the stock tires fit in those marks absolutely perfect. And you just rode down there. It just felt like you floated through there. It felt just like you were in a Raptor. You could tell you sat higher than stock. It rode better than stock. It was just absolutely fantastic. The way this thing rode was so great. But after riding with this suspension setup on the stock tires, I just really want to know what that Vertex coilover system is like. Because if it was that nice with just the lifted struts in there and the V2 shocks, I want to know what it was like with that Vertex coilover strut and shock setup. Because like I said, this thing rode so great. I just want to know what it was like. And the suspension that's even better, because I'm sure this thing just absolutely would have rode fantastic. But like I said, with all this, that was all on stock tires. It rode great like that. Now, as you can tell, we do have different tires on here. And so like I was saying about the road, you can see the tire sticks out to here. Those like pothole things in the road I'm talking about, those go from here to here. So this is your upwards point, and like right here is your upwards point, and that's what you're driving on. So it's not very good, I'm sure, on like the ball joints and the suspension and the tires all around to be riding on a road like that. So when you get a nice flat highway or just a flat driveway like this, it rides really nice. But when you're in town and the roads are crap, it doesn't ride the best, but that's just kind of to be expected. Like I said, with stock tires, like if you're going to keep the stock wheels on here, just go up to 35s and maybe even keep the stock width. You should be pretty good. Maybe even if you go to like 11.5 wides, maybe you'll be fine. But yeah, if you're going to stick with the stock wheels, go up to 35s, you might be able to get away with the 12.5 wides on the stock wheels, just because you aren't sticking out as far. Like we've got like 5 inches or so, 4 or 5 inches of the tire sticking out. So if you just have stock wheels, you might not have that issue. This thing might ride, like I was saying, even better than stock, but because these tires stick out and they're so wide, then it does ride kind of rough. It rides a little bit rougher than stock in my personal opinion, and I thought it was so weird going from that suspension setup that was so fantastic. It literally rode better than stock going down the roads in town, and that says a lot because the roads here are trash. So you're going in town and it literally feels like you're on a cloud, and then just switching over to these tires and wheel setup and it's just rough. It's worse than stock. I just thought it was a very weird experience. I'm really glad, I guess, I did it the way I did, which was put the lift on, keep the stock wheels on, and then end up getting some different ones, because it kind of gave me some time just to drive the truck with the stock wheels on it, so I could really experience what the lift was like. I don't know, I guess I'm glad I did that, because if I would have just went straight to putting these wheels and tires on, I probably would have thought the wheels and tires were fine, but it was just because of the quality of the lift that everything didn't ride the best. That's probably what I would have thought. So I'm really glad that I ended up doing it the way I did, because I'll tell you guys, this lift rides so fantastic, so great. The thing that killed it was the wheels and tires, and I don't think it's an issue with the tires at all, because I haven't had any issues with these tires. They seem to do great. I literally don't spin the tires with them. There's so much traction. I'm gonna have another video coming here soon over kind of a review over the tires and wheels and all that kinds of stuff, but tires are just fine. You know, the wheels aren't gonna have an issue with how I drive down the road unless they're not balanced, but they should be balanced. I wouldn't see an issue with that. The only thing I could really think is the width of the tire and how far out they stick from the truck, because you're outside of like the ruts of the road, roots of the road, roots of the lane, whatever you want to call it there. So it just rides weird. It's real bumpy going down the road because you're not in those like cutouts in the road. So if you don't have the offset or you don't have like the width of the tire or whatever, you're going to be perfectly golden, and this thing is going to ride so much better than stock. But just the way we are with how wide out those tires stick and everything, we ride a little bit rougher than stock. It's not bad, but it is a little bit rougher. So I guess I can give a little rating here. This is probably going to be quite a long video. It's just a lot of me talking. I really don't know how to show you guys the difference from stock versus this. I can't really show it in any way, but I'll just tell you guys. So if we're gonna rate factory suspension that came on this truck, factory wheels and tires with factory suspension, I would give that probably, I would rate it like a 7 out of 10. You know, I thought it was decent, not the best, could have been better, but it's just kind of your average truck. I don't know, it had a better stock suspension than a 2012 F-150, but it wasn't as great as a Raptor, I guess. So I'll give it like a 7 out of 10. We go over to this new suspension setup, which isn't even the best of the line. This is just kind of average, I felt like, for price-wise and the setup and everything. It was just kind of average, and we just have the stock wheels and tires on here. I would rate this thing a 10 out of 10 all day. This thing rode so fantastic. It was so nice. I loved driving around on it. Yes, it looked absolutely stupid, the 6-inch lift on stock wheels and tires, but it rode so fantastic. Absolutely great, 10 out of 10. And then we come over to here to swapping, to putting these new wheels and tires on here. I'm gonna rate it probably a 6 out of 10 or a 5 out of 10, 5 or 6, I don't know, 5.5, how about? I'll give it a 5.5 out of 10. I say that, like I said, the 7 was that stock, and this is gonna be worse than stock. It's gonna be a little bit worse due to our wheels and tires and that whole setup. So it does ride a little bit worse, but it's not terrible. Not absolutely terrible. And honestly, I think for this being a truck with a 6-inch lift on it, this thing rides pretty good, in my opinion. Because normally when people look at these big trucks, they think, oh, it's gonna have terrible ride quality because it's sitting so high. Well, this is not the case. Like I said, like 5.5, I don't know, 6 out of 10, because it is a little bit rougher than stock. But just the suspension alone, if that's all we're basing it off of, I'm gonna give this thing a 10 out of 10 all day long. Suspension is absolutely fantastic. Quality, I would say, is great on it. I haven't had any issues, no like bolts fall out or anything like that. Everything is torqued to spec. Everything looks great underneath. Kind kind of show you guys what it looks like. But yeah, everything's just, in my opinion at least, is great. High quality. Everything fits good. Nothing's broken. No bolts come loose, anything like that. Everything seems really good in my personal opinion. Show you guys the rear. What we're looking like. I've also got a lot of questions about what the rear looks like for me. So, just kind of show you guys here. We've got that. I think it's a 3.5 inch or 4 inch block in the rear. So that's what it looks like. But yeah, that's what it looks like. As you can tell, the almighty Anzo taillights with the moisture issue, as always. Show you guys there. Still happens. Not happening on this side at the moment, but we're not in the sunlight. This side's in the sunlight. You can see there's moisture buildup. So, typical. But yeah, I think that's pretty much about it for this video, I guess. Not sure what else to say with it. I guess if you guys have any other questions or anything like that, drop a comment down below, let me know. I do have a video about how high this lift actually lifted my truck. Link for that in the description down below. Otherwise, check out my channel. Got a lot of videos over this truck if you guys want to see anything or know anything. List of all the mods done and everything like that is also down in the description below. Yeah, if you guys have any other questions or anything like that, drop a comment and let me know. Otherwise, I guess that's about it. Thanks for watching another video of Bloom Outdoors. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you guys next time.